Ugandans are voting in a presidential election tainted by widespread violence that some fear could escalate as security forces try to stop supporters of leading opposition challenger Bobi Wine from monitoring polling stations. Voters say lining up outside voters are lining up outside a polling station with thousands turning out to elect their new president. However, there was little social distancing and voting officers were having to encourage people to wear their masks.
For now, it's difficult to tell them to social distance. We just encourage them to put on masks because they are many and the place is small. Remember, we're having 7 polling stations and all they have to line in one line. Our BVK machines failed to start because of matching the passwords. That's what the challenge, and that's why we have decided to use the voters register to enable people to vote.
Now let's bring in Dr. David Matsanga, MD Punchline Africa TV, and James OWICH, journalist, Daily Monitor newspaper, Uganda. Dr. Matsanga is from Uganda and joins us from Nairobi. James is joining us via phone from Kampala as the internet is down in Uganda. So let's start with Dr. David Matsanga. You're welcome. You're welcome on Newsday, Dr. Matsanga. Now, I just want to start with...
I am in Nairobi. Let me correct you. I am in the general headquarters of East Africa in Nairobi.
Yes, I think we said that. Okay, but welcome to Newsday. Okay, so let's start with the question that's uppermost in my mind. We see the crowds there at the polling stations, and yet we heard from Bobi Wine that the elections are not going to be free and fair. In other words, he seemed to have been throwing in the towel ahead of time. Is it likely with this turnout that people are still holding out, do you say, the hopes that they could still change things somehow, that somehow it will not be business as usual?
Thank you very much. Like I've told your other colleagues on other night programs, there is no scientific election in the world. I've never seen a scientific election. I teach political science myself in London. I know what politics is. I have never seen a scientific election. This is the first time in my history of my life to see a scientific election. Even in Britain, where 1,800 years, there has never been a scientific election. However, having said that, I want to tell you frankly and the international community that this is the first time the regime in Kampala has been tested. This is the first time the man, Bobi Wine, has given Museveni a run for his money. This is the first time that Museveni has turned to the soldiers to militarize the elections. You know what? He has brought the tough cracking units into Kampala, into all urban areas, snipers on the roofs in Kampala. I'm a Ugandan myself, and my mother has just told me after 90 years, she has just voted. But she said one word, that let's vote for change. And they have voted. So whether the election, whatever outcome to me, sincerely speaking, I know, look at it. These are people in a polling station. This is the most densely populated area of Bobi Wine, where Bobi Wine can get all his votes, where the population of Uganda, about 90 million voters, where he was told never to campaign. That's exactly what happened.
Just to say that Bobi Wine, that the doctor is talking about, is voting now. That's Bobi Wine voting. Doctor, continue.
With the wife. They went to vote.
Good.
But look at the number of the military people following one man. Suspicion saying that he is going to vote.
Doctor, hold it there. Hold it there a little bit. James OWICH is a journalist, Daily Monitor newspaper. He's in Uganda. James, I want to ask you this, or put this across to you. 2/3 of the registered voters are younger than 30 years of age. Bobi Wine is 38. Now, the incumbent, Yoweri Museveni, is 76. What does this say for where the pendulum of the ballot could swing? James.
Good afternoon from Kampala. My name is James. I work as a freelance journalist. I didn't pick your question very well because I think the network is not very clear.
Let me ask it again. I'll ask it again.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying that 2/3 of the registered voters are under 30. Bobby is 38. The incumbent is 78. What does this say concerning where the pendulum of the ballot could swing?
I just voted in the last 30 minutes ago, and for the first time I've seen biometric system being used. Probably this time around the vote will count. And I know Bobi Wine is a young politician, and the president is serving as he stated. But also, with what happened on the 19th of November, we have seen about 54 people were killed on the street of Kampala and parts of central Uganda. And that has been the fear that if you vote probably a younger person, you may not have the control over the army. So it's very likely that President Museveni is going to get another term. That would be 6th term since 1992 when we started our election.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let me put this question to Dr. Matsanga. It's hard to ignore the fact that we have the journalist James OWICH there on the phone because the internet has been shut down. What do you think the effect of the government shutting down the internet may have had in the run-ups to this election?
They know very well that if they left the internet, Bob Wine has more and more the mobilization tools on the internet. And they know very well that they declared the scientific election. Why do you then close scientific methods? Look at what the returning officers told you. The machine, the server, it could not go through. Museveni yesterday told the world, said people should vote with the machine because he knew he would make the machine mismatch the code numbers. So that people, when they reach the polling station, the machine's codes were not working.
Doctor, we have to stress that that's an assertion on your part and not. It's not.
No, it is not my assertion
by any means.
No, it's not. The returning officer in yellow has just told you the machines have refused to work.
I know, but the connection you made between what he said
and
your deductions are not proven. So you can go on.
I mean, it can happen. It's technology, so it can fail at any point in time.
Well, the technology, but I'm also trying to tell you that 2 days ago, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, said people should not vote from the register. They should vote in the machines. And the chairman of the Electoral Commission, it is on record. Your researchers can bring the clips here. The chairman of the Electoral Commission yesterday came to oppose the president. He said, no, the president has no right to tell us which method people should vote. But that apart, I want to tell you, as the journalists are saying, this vote, the area where voters were stopped from, where Bob Wine was stopped from campaigning, it has 9 million voters. It is like in your country, you know which the most populous situation it is. I don't want to talk about it on this television. You know 9 million voters. Bob Wine was stopped from going to campaign in those areas in the last days. He declared it COVID, pro-COVID area. Now tell me, with all the eyes of international community you are all watching, where are the safeguards of COVID here? Where are they?
Yeah, very important.
Where are the safeguards?
One of the electoral officials talked about it. Doctor, I'll keep you on pause. Let's go to James. James, what really are the contending issues in this upcoming Ugandan elections?
I think actually for the last probably in the 4 election cycles there has been the issue of vote rigging, as my brother stated. But also I want to clarify that you said Bob Wine has been blocked from going to where there are 9 million voters. I agree. But not all the 9 million people are going to vote for Bobi Wine. And secondly, I know Bobi Wine is very popular in the country. He's actually he identified himself with the youth, especially, who are the bulk of the voters. But elections in Uganda there's a lot of issues around it. And one is that, as I stated earlier on, is about vote rigging. That's the fear. And there are always where Bobi Wine has been stopped from campaigning. It's not only him, but other presidential candidates as well. But also, we should be alive to the fact that there are other presidential candidates who are also from Central Region. Probably because Bobi Wine is enjoying support in Central Uganda simply because he comes from that area. And President Museveni enjoys support from the western part of the country. And generally in the north, we have been in war for a long time, and people here, the feeling is that the president brought peace because now we don't have war anymore, and our road has been built, and in northern Uganda, where I come from, the road has been upgraded, and we are having utilities like electricity. Life is generally returning to normal. So for that matter, I think president is going to get a good number of votes in the area, though I'm not very sure by how much, because in the last elections, Dr. Kizza Besigye got a lot of votes in the northern part of north and eastern part of the region. And you remember one of the presidential candidates, Amoriat, he also comes from the east, where the opposition enjoys a lot of support. So I'm not very sure whether this time around President again is going to get another term, or another opposition candidate is going to Bobi Wine or any other candidate, because they also have Norbert Mao. He also comes from he comes from the north. Today he also voted from here in northern Uganda. So I don't know if he's going to enjoy the support of his tribemates here.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll take this question to Dr. David Matsanga. James mentioned that one of the challenging issues is voter rigging, which you had also referred to. And I'm aware that the U.S. diplomatic observer mission had to cancel their posture or their stationing at the polling units. What effect do you think this will have? We see a lot of what looks like foreign media on the ground there. What effect will this have in terms of transparency and, the voter process?
Thank you very much. Voter rigging is when it comes to vote rigging, Museveni is the expert for 36 years. You cannot beat him. Can I shock you that the ballot papers, most of the leaders of opposition, most of the candidates, did not know how the ballot papers look like, where they were printed from, but the government knew. Most of the candidates, their agents have been arrested. Two, this was not a campaign. This was a battlefield between the police, the army, and the opposition leaders. All the opposition leaders, apart from 2 or 3, the rest wasted a lot of time in police stations, being beaten up, being gassed on, being shot at. This cannot be an election. 3, look at the missions observing. Everybody has run away. You know why people are running away? Because they have already known what my friend from northern Uganda is talking about. It is me who brought that peace. It's me who negotiated that peace. The man talking to you here, and let him accept that it is me who went to negotiate. Museveni did not want to negotiate with the rebels. I risked my life to go and negotiate to bring the peace that he's talking about in northern Uganda. He had beaten all this northern Uganda rural community to death. We brought the peace. The rebels were killing. The UPDF were killing. We brought back the peace in that region. But now, after bringing the peace and the country goes peacefully, we are now disrupting the peace. From tomorrow onwards, you have already seen Chagulanyi has said, if the election is rigged, I've been beaten, I've been wounded, my people have been killed.
Oh, well,
what next is going to happen is what we don't know.
Oh, all right.
But the truth.
Oh, well,
yes.
Doctor, the opposition will, of course, normally would say what they have to say to defend their own side. But we've listened to you. Let's get to talk again to James. James, the talk is that this election embodies change versus stability, idealism versus wisdom, and the frustrated young versus the fearful old. How apt is this description of what this election is about?
Come again?
In some quarters, it's been said that this election is between change and stability, if you like, between the frustrated young people and the fearful old. How apt is it to describe this election in this manner?
I think the last 60 days, the campaign, there was a lot of violence, but yesterday and today we didn't hear a lot of incidences. And although people are still too afraid, they're still waiting for what will come next. And as Dr. Matsanga stated, people fled from the central region. Some people went back to their regional villages for fear of what happened on the 19th of November in Kampala, where, following the arrest of the Robert Chagulanyi, people started rioting, and around 54 people were killed. Out of that, 34 they are suspected to be part of the rioters, and 24 suspected to be innocent people who were just caught up in the violence. But what people are voting for, issues, especially in the northern part of the country, is about peace and unity, and the post-conflict development issues. Things to do with rehabilitating the people's lives after the 20 plus years, which happened here in the part of the region. But in the central region, generally the issue is about people want to, the financial part of bit of it. People want the fair share of the cake, and people want to have at least something in the pocket, or something which they can pay their children to school. People want to afford university education. People want good roads. People want electricity to be available, and generally the issue of their development. That's what people want, and they want the national cake to be shared equitably. So, and that's not the case according to them. So those are some of the issues why people are voting. And for young people, I think people who were born 25 years ago, or those who turned 18 probably yesterday, and they voted. They're part of the 18.1 million people who are voting today.
We seem to have lost. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry?
No, land your point.
Sorry?
Please land your point. We want you to conclude on what you were saying.
Excuse me.
Yes. The new people who maybe turn, I would say the millennial, the first-time voters, what I think they need is better education, electricity, and also the fair share of the national cake. Those are some of the issues that people are voting for. And of course, President Museveni has been listed 16. One is about security, 2 is peace, regional cooperation. They wanted to build the economy of the country, and education, health, and also infrastructure, things like electricity, and all those roads and all that. So those are the things that people generally are talking about. And other candidates are talking about economic inclusiveness. Generally, people about the economy of the country. So they want the economy to be strong so that the country can move forward.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Take it from people who've walked the path of sharing the national cake. Aspiring to share the cake before you bake it is not a true vision of prosperity. Thank you so much, James OWICH, and thank you, Dr. David Matsanga, for that.